Okay, so this is a diagram of a flying buttress. Now, as you look at it, the arch in the middle on the nave would be thrusting its forces out. And so the flying buttress would be basically countering that thrust. So if you think about Legos, I guess, because I don't really have circular ones, but I'm trying to think of how you can think of it. If I build something in my clay, I have to support those outside areas until it completely dries. Otherwise, it will just collapse on itself. The best way I can think of it. Um, yeah, just believe me. They built it for a reason so that it wouldn't fall down on itself. But you get these beautiful, in that picture before and the other second presentation, you saw how beautiful it can be, but it's very complicated as well. Okay, so one of the words that you need to define is cast iron construction or cast iron. It's a wrought iron that was soft enough and flexible when heated. It could be easily turned and twisted into a variety of forms. You would add carbon to the iron and it would create a much more rigid and strong material. The Eiffel Tower is a good example of cast iron construction, monumental to industry and a centerpiece of the International Paris Exposition of 1889. 1,000 feet tall, it's the tallest structure in the world. The problem was how to build it at this height, but it could resist the wind. So they made more of a skeleton. So open lattice beam framework that would allow wind to pass through. Many Parisians hated it at first, felt that it needed to have clothes. So this is a diagram of frame construction. It is two or more humble technology innovations, the mass production of the common nail and the improved method of standardization in the process of milling lumber, allowed for these frame constructions. This is a reconstruction drawing of St. Peter's. Wood frame construction, true skeleton and skin building method was introduced. Walls were composed of columns and arches made of stone, brick, but the roof was wood frame. The trestle angle beams supported the roof over the angles, or over the aisles, excuse me. Okay, this is Harrison Gray Otis House. It is a good example of a frame construction. It is located in Boston. It's simple, clearly articulated exterior brick clad frame, has 5 window bays, and it's a stylistic standard for the city. Okay, again, this is another frame construction. Basically, the birch 20th century wood frame construction formed the basis of the widespread bungalow style of architecture. And you've seen these in the old parts of town, like in Plano or McKinney. I think they're very cute. I love the little porches. Stickley began publishing bungalow designs in his magazine, The Craftsman. Domestic architecture available to everyone. Plainness is beautiful. Okay, steel and reinforced concrete construction. Fireproof steel skeleton frame fed the walls of low-bearing and necessary and opened it both to ornament and to larger number of exterior windows. Because of the strength of the steel, it basically allowed them to be more decorative and more open space. This is the barnyard building. Inorganic, rigid, and geometric lines of steel frame would flow through the ornamental details that cover it. Its graceful curves and angulars would disappear into a magical blend of the surface. The ornament was the spirit of the building. Primary function of the building was to elevate the spirit of those who worked there. The spirit could be revealed in the rhythm and the growth and decay in what we find in nature. So this is a close-up of the very top facade of the barnyard building. And as you can see, it is very highly decorative with flowers and animals. And it's a very nice contrast with the straight vertical lines of the framed building, because you saw in the picture before how rigid and geometric it is. But these steel reinforced concrete constructions allowed for the windows to be more windows, more decorative. They didn't have to rely so much on the wall supporting the top or the roof. Okay, this is Frank Lloyd Wright. He's probably one of my favorite artists. He not only did he design the floor plans, but he also would go ahead and decorate everything inside it. So the furniture, the walls. So he's very interesting to go look at. And if you ever have a chance, there are many of them all over the nation, and they're open for the public to see. Um, the Robbie House 1909 is an example of the Prairie House style. It's a unity of design and nature. It could be understood as instrumental to Wright's work. It had a wide overhanging roof extending out into space, its fluid open interiors, and its rigidly geometric lines, purely organic in conception. The house was of the land, not on it. Here are the floor plans for Frank Lloyd Wright's Robbie House. And if you look at it, you can see what we call a cantilever. It's a horizontal form that supports at one end and jutting out into space on the other, made possible by the newly invented steel and reinforced concrete construction techniques. So if you look over at the floor plans, you see these long walls that extend out that would allow for him then to put an overhanging, a roof, like a porch. And you wouldn't need support on both sides, just one side, kind of cool. And if you've ever been in one of his houses, they have, the living rooms are like big, open, just more kind of leading to what we have now in our houses where everything is open instead of having little rooms because they needed the walls to support the roof. Now with this new construction, they no longer needed that. Now, if you look at this drawing of Frank Lloyd Wright's, the drawing for the falling house, and I believe I have a video for you to look at this because his houses are just beautiful. You can see that the long horizontal construction, and then it's open though, because on one side you have the wall to support it, but then you didn't need one on the other side. So, and of course, if you look at this, you can see the nature, the river running underneath the house. So again, this idea that the house is combined with nature, and he would have trees embedded into his constructions. They're just really wonderful to see.